you can't hear me? I'm sorry. I've been chatting away. Alrighty, I was saying that it's a little hard to read this, but we're going to go over these responses to these initial questions. I had said that Module 4 is like Module 3 in terms of there's a lot of information. This is the second to last live lesson of the semester. I will host the last live lesson when we return from Thanksgiving break, since Module 4 is the last module in first semester. And so there's some information that I want to go over in this lesson to prepare for Module 4, and the next session when we return, I'll be focusing on the Module 4 DBA. So I was asking, who can tell me what are these red words that are highlighted? You can either pick up the mic or type it in the chat box area. Do you know what those red words are? No one knows? Oh, I see Danielle is writing. I only see Danielle writing. I don't see Dylan writing, Josh, Nina, Taylor. What are those red? What are they? Yes, that's what they are, but they're not vocab, Danielle. And what Danielle did, she translated them what they mean. So if it's not vocabulary, what else? What do you think they are? What are they classified as? They're verbs, correctly, correct. And what are verbs? What's a verb?
Action word.
An action word, very good. So like the first one is asking ¿Cómo es tu casa? Because in Module 4 we're talking about the home. ¿Cómo es mi casa? Danielle answered correctly. Mi casa es grande y verde. We always want to try to use the verb that's in the question. ¿Qué cosas hay en tu dormitorio? So here we would use I in the response, and I don't see you guys using I in the response. We were introduced to the verb I in both lesson 3.04 and I believe again in 4.01 we talked about it again. I is there is or there are. So you would use I in your response. En mi dormitorio, in my room, there is. Hay una cama, hay una mesita de noche, and here you would practice using that vocabulary from Module 4. If you are not using those note-taking guides, I strongly encourage you to do so that way you have a list of this vocabulary in front of you when you are responding to questions, not only on the discussion-based assessment, but also for your assignments. ¿A dónde vas en tu casa para estudiar? So vas is from the verb ir that we were introduced to in Module 2. So yo voy a mi dormitorio. So not al, but al is not incorrect. You would just say al, well, you could say al dormitorio, but you would really say a mi dormitorio, to my room. Yo voy a estudiar, this is very good, Nina, en mi dormitorio, that's correct. ¿Qué prefieres comer para el almuerzo? Yo prefiero comer la ensalada para el almuerzo. Yo prefiero comer la sopa para el almuerzo. Very good. So here we're trying to start using the verbs that we have been introduced to, because come Module 5, you will be expected to use them over and over and over again. Some of the objectives for today's lesson include identify what the rooms of the house are. So we started that last week, and that was part of your homework last week and this week. Identify vocabulary needed to talk about what is in the rooms in the house. So here we're talking about things that you would find in each room, in the kitchen, in the living room, in your bedroom. Obviously, you won't find a bed in the kitchen. I was going to use the example, you won't find a TV in the kitchen, but only in the living room. But in today's home, you may find a TV in the kitchen. Understand descriptions of what is in the rooms of the house. We'll also continue with those prepositions of location, like when we were talking about what we find on a dining room table. Now what we find in a bedroom, and we'll be adding on to that list of prepositions. Using the verb says to describe how the rooms, hi Jamiria, describe the rooms of the house, as well as use the verb estar, and review the verb ir and tener, and explain how many rooms there are in your home. It does not need to be true. We're just practicing the vocabulary presented. So maybe you don't have a family room in your home, but we're just using the vocabulary. So your responses do not have to be factual, as long as you're using the appropriate vocabulary from within the lessons. So first and foremost, you can either write on the chat board, or you can write in the chat box area or on the whiteboard. So let me put my timer up, 30 seconds, start the timer. I want to see what you guys tell me. What is a singular subject pronoun? What does it replace? And what are the pronouns? At this point, you should be able to rattle off this response like you know your first and last name. Like Henry Cavill, Superman. Chris Evans, Captain America. Four, three, two, one, hit the send. Words that describe yourself or subject, a subject pronoun is a word that describes yourself or someone else. It replaces a regular noun. And what are these subject pronouns? Yo, tú, él, ella, usted. Very good. If you had a little trouble with that response, you can always go back to lesson 3.02, page 10. So if you haven't completed your Module 3 DBA, just know this is a question. So, recap of those singular subject pronouns. So far, we've only covered the singular ones, meaning talking about one person, the yo, the tú, the él, the ella, the usted. We will now be adding plural, meaning speaking about more than one person, meaning if we're speaking about we go, we do something. Nosotros, nosotras. You, plural, vosotros, vosotras. And they, if it's ellos, or for just boys, or ellos for boys and girls, ellas for just girls, and ustedes meaning, like they say in the South, you all, y'all. So, again, what is the two-step process? You don't have to give me the endings yet. Let's do this step by step. So let me put 30 seconds up. And what is the two-step process for conjugating a verb? You can either write on the whiteboard or you can type it in the chat box, whichever you choose. So I see a lot of you now are starting to get brave and write on the whiteboard. That's awesome. I see a step 1. I don't see someone for step 2. Okay, so remove the AR, ER, IR, and add the appropriate ending based on the subject pronoun. And yes, this is a question. If you have not completed that Module 3 DBA, you will have to explain this to me. And you will have to explain it again in Module 4. So, what are the endings for an AR verb? You can just type them out. For the yo, the tú, the él, ella, usted, what are the appropriate endings? I see Nina writing. I see Jamiria writing. I see Taylor. We have yo, tú ends in as. Well, for AR verbs, it's as, it's not es. And the él, ella, usted is ea. Now, what about for ER and IR verbs? For ER and IR verbs, for the yo, what's the ending? I think Josh is trying to pick up the mic. It's always all. So all three of them, AR verbs, ER verbs, IR verbs, whenever you're talking about the subject pronoun yo, always ends in o. For ER and IR verbs in the to form, they end in ES. Correct. And the él, ella, usted end in E. Very good. If you are still not sure about this, you can go back to Module 3, Lesson 303, page 9, or Lesson 304, page 9. I also have a copy of this chart on my announcement page. This is something you have to know. Okay, how would you answer this? ¿Qué hay en un patio? In a complete sentence, ¿qué hay en un patio? Let me put up the timer and go. ¿Qué hay en un patio? This is a review of last week. You learned some vocabulary when it comes to un patio. ¿Qué hay en un patio? ¿Qué hay en un patio? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit the send button. Hay unas sillas, una mesa y una alfombra en el patio. Okay, what are these? What are these? Does anyone know? This is a picture from the lesson. This is actually, they say it's Córdoba, but this is really Sevilla. Not to say that it could be Córdoba, but you see these types of homes, a lot of these homes in Sevilla. This is one of my favorite things about that particular city in Spain. It's very colorful, and it has a lot of the flowers like that. Really beautiful. So these would be flores. Hay flores. There are flowers. ¿Cómo es tu casa? Again, it does not have to be factual, but based on this picture, what can you say? ¿Cómo es tu casa? 30 seconds on the board and start writing a response. It doesn't have to be based on this particular picture. You can, create in your mind, what do you think this house looks like on the inside? If you don't know how to say this particular color, say you don't know how to say the color gray and you want to say it's yellow or you want to say it's blue. You can say whatever you want. And we're coming to a close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit that send. Mi casa es azul. La casa es azul y grande. That's a good one. Mi casa es azul y grande. Don't forget that E, which means and, Dylan. Very good. We also could say mi casa es pequeña. If we want to say that's small. ¿Cuántos cuartos hay en tu casa? ¿Cuántos cuartos hay en tu casa? Now, we learned I in Lesson 304, page 7, when we talked about what's on the table. And now we learned we're using I more in Module 4 because I can mean there is or there are. And there's some tips that were given to you in Lesson 401, page 6. So, ¿cuántos cuartos hay en tu casa? Timer up and go. Start writing away. ¿Cuántos cuartos hay en tu casa? The arrows are there just to help you read my little floor plan. It has master bedroom, bedroom 3, bedroom 2, covered porch, foyer, kitchen, dining room, living room, optional deck. It's a nice little floor plan. 2, 1, hit send. Hay 8 cuartos en mi casa. Very good. Hay 8 cuartos en mi casa. Hay 6 cuartos. Whatever you want to say. What does this tu mean? Tu casa, mi casa. What does tu casa mean? Your house. And what does mi casa mean? My house. Mi casa means my house. So it's really important when you're formulating the question, you're using ¿Cómo es tu casa? How is your house? As opposed to ¿Cómo es mi casa? How is my house? Or when you're responding, when you're saying my house is. And although this is not in the lessons, I want you to add this to your notes, or you can take a picture of this slide or save it to your desktop. But you should know this. They don't explain this until Module 5, so I'm giving you a little introduction to this. This is called a possessive adjective. So if I ask you, ¿Cómo es tu casa? How is your house? What is your house like? I'm asking you about your house. I'm not asking you to describe my house. I'm not asking you to describe your neighbor's house, your best friend's house, your favorite singer, artist, whoever's house that you might admire, or a house that you see in a magazine. So whenever you're asking someone, ¿Cómo es tu casa? Obviously, it's informal. You're being informal, like we learned in Module 1 when we talk informally to certain people and we talk formally. So, ¿Cómo es tu casa? Since you guys are my students, I'm going to be informal with you. I will ask you that. You will always respond as mi casa, my house, or mi apartamento, or mi perro, my dog, or mi bicicleta, my bicycle, or mi carro, my car, whatever you want to say. But if I was asking your parent or someone, or you were asking someone you know, ¿Cómo es su casa? That's a little more formal when you're asking someone else. Or if I were to, after asking Josh, ¿Cómo es tu casa? And he gave me his response, mi casa es grande y azul, I could then tell the group, su casa es grande y azul, meaning his house, because I'm telling you about Josh. So this is, even though we haven't learned possessive adjectives yet, this is really good to know. Okay? ¿Qué hay en la cocina? So, giving me a sentence, ¿qué hay en la cocina? You don't have to say a lot. Say what you know, again, using the vocabulary from the lessons. ¿Qué hay en la cocina? Timer's up. ¿Qué hay en la cocina? Got another about 10 seconds. I see Jamiria writing. I see Danielle writing. I see Nina writing. Okay, hit the send. Hay una mesa, unas sillas, un refrigerador y una estufa en la cocina. Boy, that's a pretty elaborate response. And that's exactly what your response should look like. Because if you look in the question has the verb I, what's in the kitchen. Danielle started off with I, una. She started listing what items are in the kitchen. You can also say en la cocina, in the kitchen, in the kitchen there is, or en la cocina, in the kitchen there is, or there is in the kitchen, and list the items. This prepositional phrase en la cocina can either go at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. Most importantly, you should have a verb in your response. Now, in Lesson 402, page 3, you're given additional vocabulary. I'm not going to take time now to go over this vocabulary. It's really important, however, that you are writing this vocabulary in your note-taking guides. You'll also see some words like fregadero, el lavaplatos, even though they may say el fregadero, el lavaplatos can be a dishwasher as well. El tostador or la tostadora, la alacena, which are the cabinets, or some people, we just say los gabinetes, mean the same thing. ¿Qué hay en la sala? Here again, this is a vocabulary review. ¿De qué color es tu sala? This is coming from Lesson 403, page 2. So make sure here you have a list of your colors because you may hear that on a DBA. So you are responsible for your colors. And ¿qué hay en el dormitorio? Again, vocabulary from en el dormitorio is on Lesson 402, page 2. Now, I wanted to bring this up very quickly because in Lesson 3.04, page 7, we used prepositions of location. We learned to the left, to the right, on top of, when referring to silverware. Now, in Lesson 403, page 7, we're using more prepositions of location when we're talking about hay una mesita de noche al lado de tu cama. Is there a nightstand, a nightstand next to your bed? So when you click on all of these, they give you more prepositions. So detrás de, behind, dentro del, inside, like inside the closet, sobre, above, enfrente de, in front of, debajo de, underneath, al lado de, next to. All of these you will have to know. So make sure, if you haven't done so, on Lesson 403, page 7, you have written these down. Any questions thus far about the prepositions of location? I see Dylan writing. I'm going to wait. Okay. ¿Cómo es el baño de tu casa? So here it's going to be asking you questions. It didn't give you el lavamanos. Not sure why. But el lavamanos is the sink, or el inodoro is the toilet. They just gave you other information. Now, in Lesson 402, page 7 and 8, it reviewed again the verb sed. Sed was one of the first verbs that we learned in Module 1, when we learned yo soy. Here it's going over again adjectives. 401, page 11, it has all these forms of these verbs. At this point, you should know what these verbs mean and how to use them. Lesson 403, page 4. As you can see, there's a lot of information in 403. They did the same thing in Module 3. This talks about adjective agreement. Remember, in Spanish, we always put the adjective after the noun. So like, mi casa es grande, or mi perro es pequeño. Adjectives have to agree with the noun. So if the noun is masculine, the adjectives end in O. And you see some examples here. If they're feminine, or if the adjective ends in an E. Make sure you're going over this and you're including this in your note-taking guides. because I may ask you a question about this, and you will have to be able to explain this to me. At the bottom of that page, it also talks about be sure to look at the article. In Module 2, we talked about definite and indefinite articles. So again, you can go back to Lesson 401 to go over the conjugations if you're not sure about these conjugations. Now in Lesson 403, page 10, it's reviewing again the verb estar. Estar is on that 401 page 11, meaning I am, you are, and one of the first things we learned in Module 1 is ¿Cómo estás? Estoy muy bien, estoy mal. So in this lesson, we're learning about the verb estar. So in addition to talking about your feelings, if you're good, or if you're bad, or if you're sad, however you feel, we can also use that verb estar with location, meaning the table is to the left of the window. The sofa is to the right of the window. The mirror is in front of the TV. The laundry room is to the left of the family room. Things like that. And so this is a really important page to review, because not only does it talk about the verb estar with location, but it also gives you a format on how to use it. ¿Dónde está? Whatever. ¿Dónde está? And here on this page it gives you some different examples that you may want to go over. So we know that estar, the verb estar, is used for feelings, to talk about how you feel, as well as to talk about location, where things are. So not only where things are placed in a room, for example, we can say, where is Tallahassee? Tallahassee is in Florida. It's the capital of Florida. Where is Sacramento? Sacramento is in California. Where is Myrtle Beach? Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina. So just different, if you want to know where something is location, you would use the verb estar. So, wrapping up, what are some ways you can type on the chat board or on the chat room or on the whiteboard? What are some ways that you can practice vocabulary in order to learn it? What are some things that we can do? Because there's so much in this lesson. You can try to practice these words with other people who are fluent in Spanish, okay? You can make some flashcards, I like that. You can go over the lesson, write vocabulary and flashcards and have somebody test your ability. Also, if you don't have anyone around, you can also try Quizlet.com. You can go to the announcement page. That's a great one. There's a lot of resources there with different links to different programs, such as Quizlet or StudySpanish.com. So these are other little areas that you can go to practice what we're learning. Very good. Okay, so the last live lesson for the semester is Wednesday, December 4th at 11 a.m. We will be covering Module 4 DBA practice. And if you have any questions, I'll be here to hang out. If not, you're free to go. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.